Hey guys, Horror Freak 1983 here. Today I figured I would do my Dario Argento collection. I'm a huge fan of his movies. I've been into him for quite a while now, and I've collected a few of his movies. I only have about 8 or 9 of them. I think I'm missing one here. I don't know where it's at, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of his movies. So, I'm going to talk about him. So, first movie that I'm going to do is his classic. This is the one that pretty much everybody knows about him. Or everybody knows of. I don't think a lot of them know. Well, never mind. Okay, anyway. This is his first movie. Or not his first. His big one. Suspiria. No, it's not his first movie. I didn't mean to say that. Anyway. This is his big classic movie. It came out in 1977. It's his best known movie. For what reason, I don't know why. I love it. I mean, it's got beautiful colors. And I love Jessica Harper. Oh my god, she's gorgeous in this movie. She just, can eat her up. It's got a really pretty brutal death scene in it. There's part of it where a chick gets hung. I love the way the blood in this movie looks. It looks like paint, and it doesn't look realistic at all. But the thing about this movie is it was made intentionally to be very surrealistic and not realistic, very dreamlike. And so I think the paintish looking blood really adds to it, and I really love that picture. This picture I've always thought it was really fascinating and interesting. So basically, if you haven't seen this movie, it's about a girl. It's a ballet dancer named Susie Banyan, and she goes to a ballet school in Germany, and she has reason to believe, after some time there, that it's really a coven for witches, which it turns out to be, and some people die and some strange things happen, and there's like a scene with a bunch of maggots, and it's real gross, and it's a really interesting, fun movie. I don't think it's really all that scary, but it's intense. The music score by Goblin, who typically almost always worked with Argento during this period, during his late 70s, 80s period. They did a really good job with the soundtrack for this. It's really, really intense and just unnerving at some points. It just almost makes me want to turn off the movie. But overall, it's really good. And this DVD by Blue Underground, it's a 2-disc. It's got a bunch of bonus features and anniversary interviews with Argento and Dario Nicolodi and Goblin and different people. It's really good. I really want to get the 3-disc out-of-print Anchor Bay one that came out around 2001 because it's got lobby cards and a booklet, and it has the Goblin soundtrack, the entire soundtrack to it, and I really want that set because obviously I'm a collector, and so I the rarer something is, the more I want it. So, yeah, it's a classic. If you haven't seen it and you want to kind of get into Italian horror, this is probably the best place to start, along with Lucio Fulci's Zombie. That's another good starting point for Italian horror flicks. So, yeah, check it out. This movie is the movie that Argento did before Suspiria, and usually a lot of people think of it as a masterpiece. Some people say Suspiria is his masterpiece. Others say Tenebrae, which is another flick he did in the early 80s. This movie came out in 1975, Deep Red. It's a giallo film, basically an Italian murder mystery, and it's got it's got a little bit more of his trademark early gore than his earlier flicks did, and it's got some really cool scenes in it. There's a hatchet murder scene that is pretty interesting, and there's a strangling, and a guy gets his teeth bashed in on a table, or I think it's a table, and it's a really long movie. And some parts of it are in Italian because the original the English audio track was lost or never recorded or something. It even says something about that right there. And it's good. I personally think it's a little too long. I think if they made it a little shorter, it would have been better. but it's fine. It's still a really good movie if you can get all the way through it. Which I mean, I can, but I still, I still think it's just a wee bit too long. And this is also by Blue Underground as well. With the Suspiria, it's also the same company. Several of these are. So is this one. We'll talk about in a second. I don't actually have the Blue Underground disc. I really, really wish I did, because I love Blue Underground's DVDs and Anchor Bay as well. I have this Deep Red. I guess it's like a bootleg or it's a dollar. It's like a dollar store copy. It is uncut though. It's 126 minutes. I've watched the entire thing. It's uncut. It's identical to the Blue Underground disc, except it has no bonus features. But the print itself and the sound is really really good. I mean, it's the print itself. From what I hear, I've never seen the Blue Underground, but I have some friends that have seen it, and they say that this print compared to the Blue Underground is identical, movie wise, but it has no bonus features. So really, it doesn't have these bonus features. I wish it did. I do want to get the real DVD of this at some point. I plan on it very soon to get the official Deep Red Blue Underground DVD, but I'll just have to keep this for a while, until then. So next up, we've got Opera. I like this movie a lot. I don't like it as much as some of his other movies that I'll talk about in a second, but I do like this movie, Opera. It came out in 1987. It came out after, it was his first movie that he started directing after he produced the Demons movies for Lamberto Bava. And it's a good movie. It's got some interesting death scenes in it. The whole concept of putting needles, which is what that is, needles taped to her eyes, so that if she tries to blink, she'll kind of poke herself and it'll make her harder. She won't really want to. She'll have to watch, basically, and she's tied up and gagged and everything. It's pretty good. Hello. It's pretty good. It's definitely entertaining. I would probably say out of all the Argento flicks, this is probably one of his last better ones, because he kind of trailed off. This was near the late 80s, and he kind of trailed off afterwards and kind of wasn't as good, unfortunately. He stopped, he just didn't make his high-quality material anymore, and that's sad. And honestly, I have yet to see another good movie from him. I've really been very disappointed with his more recent works. I haven't seen Giallo yet. I've heard it's terrible. I still want to kind of give it a shot because it looks a little more like old school deep reddish era Argento. I've seen some of the stills and it looks pretty gory. I don't really know for sure though. I have not seen it, but I do want to check that out eventually. Next up, finally, I have this Dario Argento 5 films collection by Anchor Bay. I got this. This was the first thing of Argento I ever bought. Or scratch that. Actually, Suspiria was. But whoops. This was the second thing I ever bought of Argento's, and it's got 5 of his movies. It's got Do You Like Hitchcock, which is horrible. That's one of his more recent movies. I think it came out about 2005. It's terrible. Phenomena, which is amazing. It's great. It's one of my favorite personal favorite films from him. I love it. It's got The Card Player, which is also terrible. Tenebrae, which I don't know. I don't like the way they spell it there. I like it where it has the A after the B, which is the actual way the correct way of spelling it, but they shortened it for certain DVD releases in America. I don't know why they did that, but oh well, it's not too big of a deal. But these are all uncut, and Anchor Bay did a good job with the production of these. Some of these, like the Tenebrae and the Phenomena, are actually just re-releases from they released these back in like 2000, 2001. So these are re-releases. This came out in about 2008. But this is a good set if you're a starting Argento fan. I was when I got this. So it's a pretty good set. 3 of the movies are crap, and Trauma. It has Trauma as well. I don't like that movie either. I'm kind of picky. I really don't care for much of his stuff after the mid to late 80s. I mean, maybe some people do, and if they do, more power to them. I'm glad they do, because, obviously they have a little more of a broad taste. But honestly, I don't like his movies after 1987, particularly. So, anyway, this is a good set if you've only, seen one of his movies.